Nico Rosberg knows what it takes to win here, and a pivotal day in the championship with the two main title rivals on the front row. It's a backdrop worthy of a movie, one of the most spectacular theatres in sport. 62 laps of this winding course in searing heat and humidity, the ultimate physical test on the
Welcome
F1
back, guys.
calendar.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the regular stream, guys.
The Singapore Grand Prix.
The Singapore Grand Prix live reaction, post-show, pre-show, and the race.
We have
Rated with the live stream and live timing, as you guys can see on the screen here.
59 points separating himself and the triple world champion.
Man, guys, it's going to be a great race, though.
Just one place, though, in terms of the grid here in Singapore, because they are on the front row.
I don't know who wins.
It feels like a seminal race with 7
I think
to
if
go.
Lando gets off the line right,
The 2022
and he says he'll win by absolute paddy.
Chadwick is with us, so too the 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg, and Martin Bundle as well. Bit of a frisson in the air. The two title rivals on the front row of the grid, Martin.
Absolutely. I mean, Max really made the difference, I think, in the Red Bull yesterday with a tremendous lap. And of course,
you guys also, guys, while Brandon does his thing,
I was nervous in my stomach, and I wasn't even on the track.
So with the stream, we're going to have the live timing, have a tracker and commentary and everything else. I'm hoping that they put the Live Radio Corporation in with the live tracking. I don't know, but we can find out.
We still had some little doubts.
No, but no, the Norwich on
but yesterday it was just majestic.
Did 129.5.
Beautiful lap.
That's quick,
perfect,
dude.
like was expected of him, really, because he was such a big favorite yesterday in pole position.
Still
18
major
months?
favorite today, do you think, with the speed of that McLaren?
Bloody incredible.
Or do you just think Max might have a few things to say?
I think so. I think he's still got to be the standout. Max's lap yesterday was special. For him to do that every lap for a race distance and keep with what seems like a bit of a pace advantage that McLaren have is another thing. That said, we know the stat about Lando in his first lap, so I think that's going to be critical today.
We too. Let's get into that actually.
I hope he climbs.
So far,
I think he has
not led at the end of the opening lap when he's been on pole position. How much is that going to be playing in his mind overnight?
He'll have been practicing that on the sim and through the weekend. Remember, he did have a great start in Monza, but then he got mugged by his teammate down into the second chicane, didn't he? And that sort of scattered the pack a little bit. So,
I think he has
I felt that he has improved his last couple of races, his starts anyway.
Nevertheless, it's something that you can't switch that off. That fact, you know, it will be playing on his mind.
Absolutely, guys. Is the audio good? Everything else is good.
Being on the grid, you know, P1, you know, you're fighting for the championship.
I hope everything.
5 times pole, never have you led after lap 1. That does scare you, and he just needs to get through that.
And Max hasn't won for 7 races, right? If he wants to arrest the slide in terms of race results,
Jeez, 7 race winning slope.
Makes another step forward towards a 4th world championship. This is a place to get his
That's insane.
It is, but I think he'd be very happy to be on the front row here. He's probably not seen the front row here in a very long time, or if ever, to be honest. So yeah, he's going to be definitely fighting from where he is. His first sector's pretty strong, so I'm sure he's going to be going after Lando into turn 7.
Absolutely. We might have an irked Max Verstappen, because he certainly was yesterday. A reminder, as we came here into the weekend, he was given community service for swearing in an FIA press conference after qualifying yesterday. He was virtually monosyllabic.
Can you just tell us about lining up alongside Lando then tomorrow in terms of the championship battle and your tactics?
Say that he got community service for swearing.
I will find out tomorrow.
All right, Max, thank you.
Max, will you talk to us outside the room? Because technically there's not yeah, okay. And then Lando and Lewis, what do you think about Max being given community service effectively for what he said on Thursday?
I deserved it. Foul language, so I think it's pretty unfair. I don't agree with any of it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a joke, to be honest. This is the pinnacle of the sport. Mistakes are made. I certainly wouldn't be doing it, and I hope Matt doesn't do it.
Yep. Max, what happens if like the behavior in this press conference triggers another penalty? So is it more community service then? I mean, you've got a busy schedule.
No comments.
Max, how long do you anticipate that you won't be giving answers in the FIA press conference for?
I'm answering.
What are these?
It's not a lot.
Really?
Problem with my voice.
So he's not a happy camper. We'll get into this. Obviously, Mohammed bin Sulayem, the president of the FIA, came into this weekend. He said he didn't want to see the drivers swearing. He said, we're not like rappers. Now, there was some insinuations that there were some racial undertones to that from Lewis Hamilton. So let's take that aside, I suppose, and just deal with the swearing itself. One thing in a press conference, another thing, of course, at 300 kilometers per hour. But it would appear that Max has got the backing of the other drivers and a lot of the team principals on this one. Where do you all stand?
I think he's got the backing of the other drivers, because I'm sure other drivers have slipped up and slipped the tongue in many occasions, and then suddenly this huge penalty, or big penalty of community service, seems to have kind of stricken a lot of people. But at the same time, I think the matter of swearing, which I feel a little bit differently maybe on some people, than that we have to set a standard in Formula One. People are watching it, looking up to these drivers, and that has to be set, and they have to deal with it in a way.
That's fair.
I mean, it certainly provided a bit of drama, though, didn't it, at the end of yesterday? Because I mean, yeah, he gave the thumbs up, and he spoke to the written media. He's just not going to do it on the FIA's terms.
I find it amusing, for one, but I agree with you, Jamie, that there's two sides. There's my kids watching. On the other hand, we want them to be gladiators and show their emotions. So for me, the way is just bleep it out, let them be, let them show their emotions. I think that's important for all of us watching.
I agree with that.
But anyways, yeah, it's if I was in Max's position, though, it would not be so good, because he's wasting his energy on this, and he needs full focus. He's fighting for the World Championship at the moment, so I think it's not so great that he's dealing with it so much.
Fine for his own title right now.
With what Mohammed bin Sulayem did say as well, and as I said, liking it to what rappers say and the racial undertones.
Unfortunate words. For me, it's all a storm in a teacup, churlish all round, to be honest, and kind of don't want to waste my heartbeats talking about it too much. But we're all aligned on this, actually. I think the drivers should get together through the GPDA, Grand Prix Drivers Association, and they should think about, they represent themselves, they represent their families, their countries, they represent their amazing teams in the paddock, global sponsors, broadcasters, and they know full well, because they see them, they sign the caps, they see them in the fan zones. A lot of youngsters are following Formula One, especially these days, and I think they have a responsibility to control this. Where, of course, in the heat of the moment, it happens. Many of us swear like that, but gratuitous swearing, I don't think is necessary, and it doesn't look good for them.
Jamie,
so you never swore, Martin, in your prime? Like, I would never use foul language?
Well, thank you for asking. I would never sit in a press conference and swear gratuitously like that. No, because I think you have to think about your audience. Jamie summed it up.
Yeah, Jamie, just a quick one on what the president said. I mean, what did you think of that?
I think just maybe slightly lazy choice of words, and I think Lewis was right to pick him up on it, and I think what Lewis does in that sense is great for the sport, but at the same time, we're talking about racing as one, standing up for the sport and making it as diverse as possible, but we also need to appear to the younger audience and everyone watching, regardless of who it is.
Okay, right, let's bring you up to date with the state of the drivers and constructors. As I mentioned, 7 races remaining. We're into the flyaways. It is 59 the gap. If Lando Norris was to win every single race, the 3 sprint races, and pick up fastest lap in all 7, it would mean if Max finished second in all of those, they'd finish level on points after Abu Dhabi, but Lando would win it on countback for the number of race wins. So there you go. That's just how tight it is getting with the 2 of them on the front row of the grid. Further down yesterday, another decent day for Alex Albon and the 2 Williams, both of them inside the top 12, and Yuki Tsunoda inside the top 10. Nico Hülkenberg starting as far forward as 6th. Great effort from him. In the constructors, for the first time in 10 years, McLaren at the top of the pile, now 20 points ahead of Red Bull. All to play for in both championships. And here's what the pole sitter had to say when he swung by the sky pad last night to talk to Anthony.
It's in 4th,
though. Pole position number 6 today here in the lights of Singapore. Yeah. Talk us through this one. It looked pretty special to me.
It was a good lap. Probably not my finest. And that all started in turn 1.
You always say that,
I hit the curb a bit too hard. I think it's quite clear. And
the McLaren
my sector
loves
1
the
was
curve,
almost 2 tenths down on my previous laps, sector 1.
Watching his wheel.
That was just in the first couple corners, so not a great start to the lap.
So smooth.
But the car's been great all weekend. I felt confident. I felt like I know what to do. I know how to get the most out of the car. So still just had to bring the car home, let's say, and still push it to the limit. especially here with the bumps. You know, it's so easy to overstep a little bit. And the car was just difficult to drive with some of these bumps, the rear locking, keeping the tyres alive through the whole lap is a big task for us. But it's all about just almost making it look slow, almost make it look not exciting is normally when you're doing a good job. So,
and I don't know if they're going to go two-stop strategy or if they're going to go race stop. I have no idea.
Already an expectation
what
the
they're
rears are going to be a bit
thinking
hotter out of this corner, so you've got to remember these things and know how much you can push.
No idea.
So you're saying out of through turn 11, when you get the snap, you're expecting then trouble in 13, for example?
Exactly that. One of the most difficult corners, you see the car bouncing and hopping around. And into the final final chicane and final corner, a lot of bumps here on the braking. As you can see here, the dark strip. So very easy to lock the front tyre, to lock the rear tyres.
It looks smooth on the braking.
One of the cleanest times I got this section.
Looks smooth.
Every time I've watched you through here compared to anybody else, you're able to climb the inside curb heavily. Yeah. The car doesn't respond in a bad way, and then you can attack the curb on the left as well and still get a clean exit.
I was going
to say, it's just where you're positioning the car.
That's driving.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to say.
But no, the car's been fabulous all weekend. The last corner, just kind of commit, get your foot back on the throttle and cross the line. So a good lap, good enough for pole, and the car's been amazing. So a big thanks to the team.
Well done again. I know you've got a debrief to get going to, and yeah, an important day tomorrow. So thanks for joining us here again, and yeah, well done. Good luck tomorrow.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks.
Give me a second.
Pole position then for Lando Norris for the 6th time in his career. Both Mercedes inside the top 4 for the first time since Silverstone. Lewis Hamilton in 3rd, George Russell in 4th. Let's hear from George now.
Well, George, after last year, could I put it that you've maybe got some unfinished business with this race?
Honestly, I'm not even really thinking about it. It's history.
It's kind of fun,
doesn't change my approach at all. You learn from moments like that, and we'll just go out today, enjoy it, try and stay cool, but just see what the race can offer.
Yeah, you look super relaxed. It's funny, I saw that little exchange you had with Lando when I was talking to him. You gave him a little shoulder massage. Do you sense just a bit of tension creeping into him that maybe you or others can exploit?
I mean, naturally, when you're fighting for your first championship and when you know you've got the quickest car on the grid, you know it's yours to lose as such. And
I got my,
you know, it's not always straightforward, but you know, Lando's a great driver, and I'm sure, I think once he gets another win or two under his belt, he's just going to run away with things. So maybe this could be the start of something for him and McLaren.
What about the opening lap? I mean, maybe opportunities off the line, turn 7, the other spot on that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be Max's only opportunity. If he doesn't get past Lando at turn 1, Lando's going to be into the distance.
He's talking some truth there, George.
For whatever reason, it's almost been every single year that P2 cars made a bad start. That was me last year as well, and the years before. It's always been second has made a difficult start. So, I mean, I'd love to see Max battle it out, and hopefully Lewis and I can swing by. But, you know, there's been a safety car every single year here, I'm sure. There'll be opportunities as the race goes on.
Yeah, just finally, we had the big fight on Sky last night. You've got to roll with the punches here too.
Who wins, guys?
Who
wins the race?
It's got to go. But are you in it to win it?
Who's your money on?
In it to win it, as always. In it to win it. Let's do it.
Good luck, George. Yeah, can he punch the weight of his car today and maybe claim that victory?
Well, we shall see. Great alliteration there from Craig Slater, our boxing correspondent, former boxing correspondent. On the subject of George, I wonder how much last year's last lap crash will be on his mind. But also, we have ways, don't we, of keeping across team radio yesterday. All of them complaining about the variations between sets of tyres, George especially.
Yeah, George was by far the most critical of the tyres, and it caused him quite a lot of issues throughout yesterday. He managed to get it together at the end of Q3, Lewis as well, and I think they'll be very happy to be on the second row of the grid. Whether they'll have the opportunity to attack like George did last year, I'm not so sure, but at the same time, I think the way they turned around their performance yesterday, they should be very happy with.
Absolutely, that's the point, the turnaround that they made.
Lando gets a good start.
I mean, just like Red Bull, they also came here and set the car up way too softly on roll and also vertically, and then the aerodynamics that don't work very well. And so overnight to Saturday, they went much harder and stiffer on the car.
Say anything.
Suddenly the aerodynamics come to life, and it put them into a whole different place. And since then, Mercedes have been going much better, and actually we're quite close to McLaren in qualifying, you know, even beating one of the McLarens. And that's why I do think that they have a chance also today. to even move forward from where they are.
They improved, but Ferrari didn't. They went the other way. Carlos Sainz into the wall, and also Charles Leclerc getting his lap taken away from him for exceeding track limits. It was all not a good day for them at all.
No, Carlos was waiting to start his lap, and clearly everything wasn't up to the right amount of temperature, and he put too much power demand in going in to start the lap. And that's a very, very expensive crash. It's wrecked the gearbox.
That's some force,
their allocation this year. And then Charles drifts. I mean, that was brutal, wasn't it? To lose it. But I think the key there is he would only have been 7th on the grid, even if he hadn't have lost that lap time. So somehow, I don't think I've ever seen Formula One cars ever as knife edgy as this. You know, one minute it looked like Ferrari were the dominant team earlier on in the event, and Mercedes look all over the show, but they nailed it when it mattered in Q3. And will we see that today?
Yeah, it was the worst, by the way, in 15 years, two-car performance on a Saturday here in Singapore for Ferrari. So there you go. That just that shows you, because they look like one of the favourites coming into the weekend alongside Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri in those McLarens. Right, we're going to take a short break. On the other side, Ted will show you how to keep cool here in Singapore.
It's really important for the drivers, who are, after all, exerting themselves in 3 layers of fireproof overalls, a balaclava and helmet, while sitting in a cramped car itself generating heat, to figure out ways to keep cool. So with the help of Nico Hulkenberg, we're going to road test 5 methods that you'll see the drivers using around the paddock.
Okay, Nico Hulkenberg. Let's see what Nico has to say about it.
Rexona Advanced Protection. With body heat activated
ads, guys.
So no matter how hot you get, Rexona keeps working against odor and sweat. Rexona, 72-hour advanced protection.
When you're with Amex, you can transfer your membership rewards points to over 10 airline partners. So you can go just about anywhere. And use your points for almost anything. Rewards that actually reward. That's the powerful backing of American Express.
I can't believe you corporate types are still at it. Just stop calling each other rock stars.
And using Workday to put finance and HR on one platform? Tim, you are a rock star.
Using responsible AI doesn't make you a rock star.
Does. You are not rock stars. Okay, most of you are not rock stars.
Ooh, data-driven insights and large language models. Oh, that's so rock and roll.
It is, right?
He gets it, yeah.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, we guarantee you the best price on top tyre brands like Bridgestone, BF Goodrich, Michelin, Yokohama, Falcon, Pirelli, Continental, and many more.
Alrighty guys, welcome back.
But anyways, he's doing a good job.
There we go.
Okay, well, what's going to come as a
Okay, so we still got nothing
it looks like it could
yet.
potentially be his last race in the RP. You can see the man who's looking to replace him in behind there, Liam Lawson, but yesterday out in Q1 didn't help his cause.
It didn't, and my understanding is that Liam Lawson will be in that car in Austin, but that Daniel Ricciardo stays in the pool of Red Bull drivers for options going forward into maybe later this year, but into 2025.
Okay. It's a real pity, isn't it? I mean, Daniel is so loved. He's such a fantastic driver, but he just hasn't shown quite enough this year, unfortunately.
Okay, I mean, he's almost admitted it, didn't he, in his press conference this weekend. There was almost a resignation in his eyes. Live pictures in the garage behind us, and there you can see Liam Lawson, who of course did so well, didn't he, in Singapore, and he had to step in for him.
Shame.
But we shall see. Yeah, do you think he's got a bright future? Just very quickly.
Well, Christian Horner said to us last night, you know, we want to see how good he is. I mean, he looked very good last year, as you say, when he was super sub. And they need some options going forward. You know, only Verstappen is really delivering. They've got their own junior team on the grid. They may as well use that, Red Bull, uniquely for them.
Down in the Red Bull.
Only Verstappen's really delivering.
Okay, watch that space. Might see that man into the other car alongside Yuki Tsunoda when we get to Austin. Of course, there is a break though before we get into the last 6 races of the season. When we come back though, Martin's been having a look at how McLaren have made such improvements in the last 18 months or so, as we said, leading that Constructors' Championship for the first time in 10 years.
Guys, I'm at a crossroads.
Rexona Advanced Protection with body heat activated technology.
No, I don't know what.
So no matter how hot you get, Rexona keeps working against odor and sweat. Rexona, 72-hour advanced protection.
When you're with Amex, you can transfer your membership rewards points to over 10 airline partners. So you can go just about anywhere.
I'm not going to do this every day though.
And use your points for almost anything.
It's so much more fun, I think, doing it for a night.
Actually reward. That's the powerful backing of American Express.
But I'm a small creator.
I can't believe you corporate types are still at it. Just stop calling each other rock stars.
And using Workday to put finance and HR on one platform? Tim, you are a rock star.
Using responsible AI doesn't make you a rock star.
Kinda does.
You are not rock stars. Okay, most of you are not rock stars.
Ooh, data-driven insights and large language models.
What is this?
So rock and roll.
It is, right?
You get it, yeah.
Shannon's is giving motoring enthusiasts the chance to win a trip to the Nürburgring to experience an exhilarating taxi lap in a Porsche GT3 RS, plus win an Indian Motorcycle 101 Scout. To enter, take out new eligible car, bike or home insurance. Go online or call Shannon's.
Hey guys,
everything an electric car is and isn't. Because driving still matters. All electric Ioniq 5N.
It's a lunch break, guys. I think it is. Make it thank us. It's on fire.
With Seabourn, this is your moment to take the ultimate voyage. Experience intimate ships with a yacht-like atmosphere, where intuitive service means the everyday becomes extraordinary, and the world is your playground. Sail the Mediterranean for 10 days in all-inclusive ultra-luxury.
That's better.
Contact your travel advisor or visit seabourn.com.
That's way better.
It's footy finals time at Harvey Norman. Save $500 on this king-size Sony TV, plus bonus local delivery and wall mount installation. Grill and air fry halftime snacks with the extra-large Ninja Foodie Grill. Now under $1,700, this Hisense French door fridge. What a winner! Save $800 on the latest LG 65-inch OLED TV, plus bonus local delivery and wall mount installation. Plus up to a further $700 off when you buy selected LG TVs with a matching soundbar. Now at Harvey Norman.
More flavors than you can poke a stick at.
I just had to make the
roll the dice on spice.
Actually, what is this? There we go. Alright guys. Might move.
Welcome back to Singapore. Floodlights are on and beginning to take over as the sun has set. Less than an hour to go until lights out for the Singapore Grand Prix. Now, as mentioned before the break, it has been a remarkable turnaround from McLaren, from plumb last at the start of last season to taking over the top of the constructors for the first time in 10 years. How have they done it? Martin's here to explain.
Yeah,
Oscar Piastri wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. What a comeback for McLaren, who now lead the way in the fight with Red Bull.
McLaren have taken the lead of the F1 Constructors' Championship after Red Bull held sway for 55 races and 247 days. McLaren last led the teams very briefly at the start of this hybrid era in 2014. They also led with 3 races to go in 2008, but Ferrari snatched that away. And so, incredibly, we go back to 1998 when this great team last won the Constructors' title.
With
Constructors' Championship for McLaren, Drivers' Championship for Mika Häkkinen.
Last season they were plumb last after 2 races, but they've relentlessly turned it around. Let's take a look at how and why.
Plenty of time for all the F1 teams to put some upgrades on the car. The most important one is to McLaren, and team boss Andrea Stella is calling this almost pretty much a new car. The upgrades that are coming to your car this weekend are unbelievable. They're going to put you into the stratosphere.
Yeah, we'll see.
After positive 2023 car upgrades at the Austrian and British Grand Prix, McLaren improved, and many podiums would follow.
That is a stunning performance from McLaren, 2nd and 3rd in qualifying.
Yeah, baby! Is that happy?
Yeah! This is good news. Definitely means the upgrade is a nice step forward, and we're in the game now. Let's see what happens in the race tomorrow.
Lando Norris leads the British Grand Prix! You can hear the roars!
Yeah, McLaren's a rocket ship. Hey.
Podium in my home race.
We don't want to be finishing 5th in the Constructors. We want to eventually try and challenge the top. We've got a long way to go to challenge the next few teams, but you know, anything's possible if we can keep having weekends like this.
But they would only score 302 points compared to the super dominant Red Bull's 820, thanks to 19 victories for Max Verstappen and 2 for Sergio Perez. 2024 started much the same, with a walkover victory for Verstappen in Bahrain, Perez 2nd in the sister Red Bull. Lando Norris was a yawning 48 seconds behind. It was the same story a week later in Saudi Arabia, but by now Red Bull were heavily mired in off-track revelations. This led to acrimony between key players such as Christian Horner, Dr. Helmut Marko, Adrian Newey and Max's dad Jos.
A lot is made of this stuff, but you know, we are one team and nobody is bigger than a team.
It's important to have peace in the team and just focus on the driving aspect.
Impressively, through all the drama and endless media questions, Max kept his head and won 7 of the first 10 races, culminating in Spain. He hasn't won in the 7 races since.
If you look at our performance from last year to now, of course we improved, but it seems like the others just improved even more.
Meanwhile, under the calm and mature leadership of team principal Andrea Stella, McLaren were improving, especially in Miami. The team clearly understand their car and performance tools.
Norris wins the Miami Grand Prix.
You outperformed and outpaced the Red Bull.
I know, right?
That's like the
pretty
first
wild.
time
anyone's done it. Andrea is running the Formula One team and couldn't ask for a better team principal. His leadership qualities, he listens, he communicates, he's thoughtful.
Just whisper it quietly, perhaps. There is a championship on our hands.
Stella had engaged technical director Peter Prodromou, integrated the highly knowledgeable and pragmatic Rob Marshall, who'd moved over from Red Bull, and focused largely the same group of talented people using the same resource into winners. Adrian Newey declared he was leaving Red Bull and was largely parked. Long-standing team manager Jonathan Wheatley is leaving for Sauber Audi, and other teams tried to poach key Red Bull personnel. And through all this, the car has turned from apparent perfection into a monster. Even Verstappen can't make the difference as he fights the car.
I can't brake, I can't enter corners, it's just really bad.
We have a lot of work to do to, basically change the whole car.
The Austrian Grand Prix sums up this story. The immovable object met the irresistible force.
Contact between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris.
Sergio Perez lost his confidence and has scored less than half Verstappen's points. He's weathered endless speculation that he'd be imminently replaced, and even Baku didn't yield a deserved renaissance.
I sat down with him in the kitchen at my house and said, "Come on, what's going on?"
It hurts to let your whole team down, but at the end of the day, I'm determined more than ever, to get back to where we belong as a team.
Meanwhile, over at McLaren, both drivers have been on fire, and Oscar Piastri has won 2 races and comfortably outscored everyone in the past 7. McLaren could and should have won many more races, but despite that, they're the team to beat in the remaining 3 sprints and 7 Grand Prix.
To catch Red Bull, to be outscoring them, to be outpacing them, and to be the top team in Formula One is something we should all be very proud of.
And to compound Red Bull's misery, both Ferrari and Mercedes have significantly improved, such that they can fill any gap between them and McLaren. Can McLaren withstand the pressure? Can Red Bull turn it around? Or will Ferrari pass the pair of them? Stay tuned.
On any given weekend, I think it's classic, I suppose, not just one car.
Yeah, stay tuned indeed. Great piece that from Martin, charting their progress. And if you actually look at the form guide over the last 7 races, really, let's just have a look at McLaren versus Max Verstappen and the other Red Bull of Sergio Perez. It would be Oscar Piastri who'd be leading the way with a couple of wins in Hungary.
Yes, so
impressive, of course, in Baku with 31 points more than Lando Norris, but crucially, Max Verstappen only 94 and hasn't won any of the last 7 races. He is on the front row today. Oscar Piastri, by the way, his Q2 time yesterday would have been good enough to be second on the grid, and it could have been of McLaren front row lockout. Not to be, though. And the constructors, well, that tells the story, doesn't it? McLaren 239th in the last 7 races. Red Bull just 126. They've outscored them by 113 points. They're leading the constructors by 20.
That's scary.
It is amazing, and you can sense the atmosphere in this team. It has been such a long time coming. There's a huge amount of anticipation. They seem utterly focused, really energized, and they feel like a team that knows that they've got the best piece of machinery and potentially the best driver lineup here.
Yeah, it's really an unbelievable turnaround, and it starts from the top. It starts from Zach Brown, I think, who's really positioned the team perfectly, made the transition from last year to Andrea Stella, who's now the new person running the team, and aerodynamically also, that's really where it is, yeah? Aerodynamically, the whole department there has done unbelievable work, from being almost last, not a little bit more than 12 months ago now, to having the best aero on the grid. It's just unreal. What a great job they've done. They have a new wind tunnel now. So it's just, phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's credit to a couple of the people that were mentioned there. Rob Marshall, Peter Prodromou, obviously design geniuses. And if you're just tuning in for the first time this weekend, McLaren had that Baku rear wing that people were questioning the legality of because of flexibility, saying it was a little mini DRS. They've said that they're actually going to change that, make a few changes going forward, rather than risking it. I suppose what the question the fans are going to want to know is how much of a performance difference is it going to make?
Of
course, in those races that they were using it, it had performance gain because that's why they were using it. They wouldn't have it on the car if it wasn't giving them performance. But at the same time, as Oscar said in the press conference, it wasn't the silver bullet. They didn't use it in every race that they've had success in. They've been successful in past without it. And I think the point there is that, as Nico said, the aero balance and everything that they're adjusting back with the wind tunnel and everything back at Woking, the correlation is correlating really well to track. So their trajectory has just been going up and up and up, and there's been no question marks over things that they brought to the car giving them added performance.
But also that they are the ones pushing the boundaries the most. They're maximizing those gray areas of legality. On the rear wing, we know that all the teams are doing it on the front wing, and rumors are McLaren is also there pushing the boundaries. And that, for me, is also an indication that they're just on it, you know, because that's what you need to do when you're looking for performance, push those limits.
Absolutely.
Smart stuff, really. That's the thing, it's pure F1, isn't it? That's what we love about this, and obviously you're going to get a bit of back and forth between the teams, as we always do. If you think back to 2021, where Red Bull were doing exactly the same. Right, time to hear from the pole sitter. Here is Lando Norris, a little bit earlier with Craig Slater.
Well, Lando, you're a man in demand here, obviously. But listen, you've looked relaxed, full of confidence since you got here. That's how it's looked from the outside. Has it been that way in the inside as well?
Yeah, at times. I mean, I try and be as relaxed as possible, but it's still a stressful sport, you know, so. But I felt good all weekend. I felt good for quite a while, actually. You know, the last few months, I felt confident, just waiting for things just to take that final click into place. But this weekend, so far, that's been the case. So I'm happy, but we're keeping our heads down.
Yeah, brilliant pole yesterday. What was the key to getting the job done today?
Just the obvious stuff. Get off the line well.
Let's go, Lando. Well, got to watch out for him.
Yeah.
But you've got confidence in the car. I mean, that fundamentally,
all weekend I've had confidence for a long time now. The team are doing an amazing job. We've outperformed every other team on the grid, and that's an incredible thing to be part of. So I'm proud of the team, but I still have to go do my job, you know, which is go on track, perform everything well, get a good start, a good first lap, those kind of things. But I'm confident with the package I got.
Is it a job Oscar can maybe do a favour today, maybe running slightly differently if needed?
If that time comes, but yeah. It's not the plan at the minute now.
Okay, it's an opportunity finally. I mean, you know what the championship situation is. You've got to look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I look at every race at the minute as an opportunity. So I'm trying to win every race. I'm trying to get every pole, you know. But it's just not easy, and I'm competing against a lot of great guys. You know, people forget that Red Bull is still Red Bull, and won for the past 2 years. People forget that Max is still a multiple world champion. So I'm fighting against the best in the sport, and I'm excited for it. I enjoy it, but it's also tough, of course.
Go well today.
Cheers,
Go
man.
well today.
Yeah, keeping his cool.
When the race starts, guys, 5 minutes before it starts, I will go radio silent. I'll let you guys listen to the race commentary, watch the live timing. You just won't see my face or hear my voice for those 2 hours until we get back. And then I reckon we'll just walk up the
stream. With 26% off gas rates from Energy Australia.
Because I do go get up and get ready for work. It's 6 in the morning.
Delicious wintry hot chocolates.
This race
There's a bright side to
midnight.
Find it with Energy Australia. Call 133 446 today.
Rexona Advanced Protection with body heat activated technology. So no matter how hot you get, Rexona keeps working against odor and sweat. Rexona, 72-hour advanced protection.
Some like it hot, others do not. Both can
guys, I'll be doing the Zero Build Crash Cup tonight as well. So 6 o'clock, I think I'll be on about 6:30. I have a feeling I'll be a game. It doesn't matter where you're going. I get back.
It's how you arrive that determines the mark you leave.
It happens. I'll just do the best I can.
A new season. This game is absolutely
learning it better.
Simply incredible. Who will seize this moment? Alex Sarr of the NBL. Who will dream big? The island has its title.
Alright guys, so as well, while we're on a break, we'll go on another short break. We'll be back. We're back soon, right after this. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys,
it's a win from
back.
pole. In the last 9 races, he's displayed a
How's it going
confident look this weekend. Even before that blistering lap, can Max nail the starts? When it really counts, he certainly doesn't want one like that. Simon, down to you.
Indeed, and Lando, because of course, as we said, the second phase of the getaway has been a problem. Let's just hear from Charles Leclerc. This is what he's had to say over team radio coming into the pits.
That would be dangerous.
Yeah, all backed up there, Nico. Coming around, you don't want to come around any quicker around that corner as it's blind.
Nope, that looked very, very dangerous.
Yeah, okay. On the fact of Charles Leclerc yesterday, I've not seen him that angry really after a qualifying session for some time. We thought it was potentially borderline, didn't we, with the stewards on the track limits thing, but he clearly didn't agree with the call.
Yeah, it was difficult to judge because for us, we don't have the camera that the stewards use, because they use a CCTV camera, which is a different angle, because for us it was very difficult. It looked fine, or it looked borderline. But anyways, yeah, it was a really tough session for them. But even worse was that they lost their performance, because even if that lap would have counted, it wasn't a fantastic lap. So that's what is the bigger head scratcher, because they started so strong and then it just all went away from them.
I think that sounded like his biggest frustration as well, was the fact that he felt like he was fighting for a front row, and actually come that Q3 lap, they were nowhere. And he was also complaining about the tyres. I think, yeah, just trying to get both axles in at the same point. He felt like he had no grip on that lap, and you could see the anger in him there. He just wasn't happy at all.
Short run down to turn 1 here. It was though Zandvoort and Max was able to get ahead of Lando. Let's come back to that, the second phase of the getaway. McLaren said that they've made steps to address that. He'll hope they have.
Yeah, of course, and even that plays on his mind. You know, have the team been able to really improve that second phase of the start or not? It all adds to the pressure. But as we said, the fact that Max is on the dirty side of the grid, and that spot, as George was saying, you know, that spot really has been doing bad starts in the last couple of years. So everything is in Lando's favor, really, of course, but he still needs to deliver a clean start, obviously.
I agree. I think it's in his favor, given historically, I think how many people from pole have led the first lap. That said, I think Max isn't going to let him go all the way up to turn 7, maybe even later in the lap, with more opportunity now with the new straight to overtake. I think there's still a window for Max to make it work.
Yeah, on that very subject, let's go to the Skypad. Anthony's there, the subject of starts, and that extra DRS zone as well.
They were nowhere near.
Yeah, absolutely, Simon. So last year we had George Russell on second place on the grid, Carlos Sainz on pole. So Max won't be wanting, he's starting in that position today, of course, he won't be wanting a start like that, and also even the start that George Russell had last year, because it wasn't good enough. Charles Leclerc on the outside, on that faster line, it seems, got the jump on him, ahead by the time they get to turn 1. Lewis tries to go around the outside of him as well, but thinks better of it and goes around the outside. If I just reverse it here a little bit, the outside of this bollard here. Now, if you're off track, you have to go around the outside. That's exactly what Lewis does. And he pops out just in front of his teammate. It's going to be a little while longer before Lewis would give that position back. So it's very tight on the first lap, and that runs all the way down towards turn 7. Speaking of turn 7, it is a possible overtaking part of the track in the race if there's a big enough tyre offset, which is what Lewis had last year. Had fresher tyres than the Ferrari in front of Leclerc, gets onto the right-hand side of the track, the racing line, you can brake deeper, and it's a nice, clean overtake. But you need to build in that tyre delta between yourself and your rivals. Now, as Jamie alluded to, we do have a new DRS zone for this year, and that's it there, zone 3. So into turn 16, we might see some extra overtaking. We saw Russell get oh so close with Lando Norris very late on in the race last year. It wasn't quite enough. Obviously, Lando picking up a bit of slipstream as well, and he would, at that distance, be in DRS as well, maybe a DRS train into that corner. But we might be able to see, hopefully, cars drawing ever closer or even overtaking into turn 16 this time around. So it might not be quite as follow my leader as it was last year. Back to you, Simon.
Yeah, just looking at our team radio feed. Actually, Norris's engineer saying initial feedback on practice start throttle was too aggressive. They'll try and make some adjustments there, you'd think. Going to George Russell and what happened, though, and that drama on the last lap of last year. How much is that in the back of his mind? Also, he's made a couple of mistakes this weekend. Yes, he's found the pace, but he's already had it in the barriers once and a couple of straight-ons too.
He has, but I think that's one of the difficulties of this place, is it's just such a narrow margin. They're up against the walls all night long, and it's going to be hard for no one to make a mistake today. George's last year was punishing, would have had its toll on him over the last year, but I think hopefully he's over that and he can go attack today.
This race is so tough for the concentration. You are at the end of the race, you're sweating so much, you're so hot, you've lost like 8 pounds of body weight, yeah? And you're trying to concentrate at the end with your head pounding in the steering wheel and the sweat running down. It's really on the limit, and that's why mistakes happen around here. Just want to go back to what the engineer told Lando. Too aggressive on the throttle. That's not the car, that's Lando himself. So that sounded a bit worrying to me, because he's not yet in a good place there.
As I said, across that. All right, let's move on to a couple of the other stories on there, particularly, actually, Franco Colapinto. Let's have a quick word about this young Argentine driver that has come in alongside Alex Albon. He's been close. He's already picked up more points than Logan Sargent did in all of his 36 races. Yeah, he's hit the ground running, hasn't he?
Absolutely, and just even his driving style and his nature and the characteristics of the car on track, he's pushing it to the absolute limit, and that's exactly what Williams wants to see. What I found funny is I popped into Williams yesterday and James Vowles wasn't actually happy, and I think a long time ago he would have taken your arm for a P11 and P12 in qualifying, so they clearly felt there was more. They felt like they should have been in Q3, and the fact they've got both cars so close to each other is great.
A few last words of advice from Triple World Champions Jackie Stewart and his son Mark alongside as well. There we are. Hold on, let's just to say we'll come to Franco Colapinto in a few moments time there. He's lucky to get away, actually.
That was Jackie telling him, keep a cool head, son, keep a cool head.
I would have done
Which
it
is
this way.
not what you want to hear just before you're going into the race start.
There is Franco Colapinto taking the crane.
So nice. So nice.
Oscar, are the
Looks
points
so nice
there for the taking, but have you got to play a patient game today, maybe?
We'll see. We'll see.
How good does the car feel, though? You seem to have felt very comfortable around here.
Yeah, I feel comfortable. Very excited for the race. Let's see how it goes.
Good luck.
There we go. Right, it is loud down here. It's not Dutch loud. It's not as loud as the Dutch Grand Prix, but it's getting there. The decibels are rising as we head towards lights out here in Singapore.
During the pumpkin, people get in the party mood.
And welcome to the grid, and how atmospheric is this down here? A little bit like a nightclub as well when the race heat comes through. And the cars are now in position. We're 9th and 10th on the grid around the Ferrari. So all of the drivers have left the grid as far as I can tell. And it's highly usual here because they want to get in there, cool down, debrief. But it's an unusual challenge for Ferrari because they're out of position. Compared to, I think, where they can be with the race pace. And they've got 3 outliers in front of them who have out-qualified them. Yuki Tsunoda here in the RB would definitely be one of those that you would think would be slower on race pace than the Ferraris. But, you know, it's tricky here to overtake, as we know, historically. And then another
Hamilton, Russell.
Another would be Fernando Alonso. We got Miles Chamberlain Watson here. How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Pleasure to see you, man. Honoured to be here. And I'm hoping for a good victory today.
Now I know you're really close to Lewis. I mean, he's got a great grid slot up there in 3rd place.
I think the start's going to be very important, but I think I like my chances. So I'm rooting for the best friends tonight, man. Let's go, bro.
Good stuff. Good to see you, Miles. A big fencing star, of course, Olympic fencing star. So here's something I'd love to see. We've probably all got one of these at home, and it's lightweight. It does its job. You can get them on Amazon and wherever, can't you, for nothing halfpenny. And that's to help Fernando Alonso get in the car without treading all over the bodywork and looking somewhat inelegant. And of course, they then just fold up and take away. I just love the simplicity of that compared to the hundreds of millions of pounds of that standing there. Let's see who else we can find around this car. There's somebody I want to have a chat with. He's having an He's just briefly having a chat with TV, so we'll with F1. So I want to talk to Sir Mark Cavendish, KBE.
Okay.
Great character, absolutely great character. So we'll give it 20 seconds, and if not, we'll move on. So I want to have a quick chat with him and see what he's got to say. I mean, a fearsome competitor, of course, is Cav here, and working with Aston Martin now, by the looks of it, here at the Aston Martin car. So, Cav. So Mark Cavendish, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you, Martin. How are you?
Yeah, good. Now you're one of the most fearsome competitors in the world. You got your 35th Tour de France victory this year. That was something special.
That was really good, yeah. It was nice. It was a while ago now. Just kind of enjoying myself after that, but yeah, it was very nice. Very nice time around France. Like.
And how do you're used to with your Tour de France stages and what have you, and the long cycle rides, the mental preparation you would need, but can you imagine what it's like being a Formula 1 driver, trying to keep a clear head in all of this lot?
Well, actually here, like, it's really a lot more about concentration with these drivers. Like, a lot of what we do, we have to build our own engine, we have to train and that. Well, they're so long, the races, that you can kind of just chill into it. But the mental focus that they have with this, it's brilliant to see. It's brilliant to speak to the drivers actually about what they do, to concentrate, to relax, and kind of, compare that to what we do. I think any sport comes here and sees the pinnacle of performance. I'm spitting all over you now.
I know. I've got to move on, my friend. Good to see you. Right. Let's see who else we can find. A quick. We've got James Vales here, but he's just been nabbed by another TV channel. Are you still with me, Lee? Let's see if we can wade our way through here. So this is Oscar Piastri's P5 in the McLaren, and sitting there. I think. I mean, he could have been P2 had he have delivered his Q2 time in Q3. That would have helped him. Would have helped him a lot, but I think he overdrove it actually in that last few minutes. Somebody, hi, how are you doing, Shella? Everything good?
Then we'll get back into it. Thanks, guys.
That was painful. He just ran into his camera with all the wrong bits.
Should I find you out here, Martin?
Yeah, how are you doing? You having a good time? Nice to see you. Right, what else? So, Mercedes then, 3rd and 4th on the grid, lining up on the 2nd row. And let's quick chat with Nicholas Tombassis. Nicholas, the McLaren rear wing, they're not going to bring it again. Did you just tell them don't be naughty again, or what happened on that?
I think the matter is under control. We've discussed the matter, and we have, I think, the position where we want to be. I don't think there's anything else to say on this one.
We won't see it again then? No. Okay, right. Where are we? Let's see, we have a chat with Christian Horner. I'm sorry. Christian, right, so, I mean, Max pulled one out of the bag there, didn't he? That was a great quali lap, and you guys were on it.
Yeah, it was a mega lap. I mean, actually, both of them, the one before the red flag was looking very good, and then the one he did. But, yeah, I think the team did a very good job to give him a better car yesterday, and, hopefully we can give the McLaren a harder time today.
Yeah, P2 off the grid's tended to struggle a little bit here, but we know how feisty he can be when he wants to be.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be an exciting first lap, and look, McLaren are the favourite going into this race, but hopefully we can give him a hard motor race tonight.
All right, good luck. Have a good race. Right, we'll keep wandering forward as people, and yeah, let's have a move through here if we can get through. Excuse me, sir. How are you? And see if we can wibble our way. I don't think we need to go under the rope at the moment, actually. I don't even know how long we've got to go. The anthem's a couple of minutes earlier these days, and we'll have a quick chat with Zach, because I know the drivers won't be coming on, and they'll come through that gate over to my left, and they'll come on at the last possible moment. Zach, so, looks good, doesn't it? He's got to lead the first lap, though, hasn't he?
He's got to lead every lap, and most importantly, the last one. But I think his life will be easier if he can lead the first. But he's been fast all weekend. I think Oscar will come forward. He had a small mistake, so I think he's faster than he qualified. But Max and Lewis and George, all these guys are going to do their best to hassle us, I'm sure.
And can you use Oscar tactically if you need to? And will they use Perez tactically?
yeah, if we need to and it makes sense and it doesn't compromise Oscar's race but can help Lando, then we'll definitely take a team approach to the weekend.
And did you have baseball legend Ken Griffey Jr. on the grid?
Where is he? He's you can't miss him.
Right.
There he is. He's in the white.
Okay, I'm going to go. I've run out of time, Zach. I've run out of time. I've got to go through here and get through here, Lee. Norrie, can I just come through there, mate, please? Thank you. Good. Let's see if we can pick up a driver. And this is Daniel Ricciardo there. I don't know if Daniel's up for a chat. I want to just ask. We can't approach. Daniel's not actually on the red carpet yet.
Drivers, please ensure you are in position for the national anthem.
So let's see if we can just have a quick chat. How's the track out there, Kev?
Same as yesterday, pretty much.
All in the same place, is it?
All in the same place.
Excellent, thanks. I just got to... Carlos, is your car feeling good? Now it's put back together, your car feeling good?
Yeah, the mechanics have done a great job overnight and everything is working well.
Going to be an interesting race.
I think.
Max, can we have a quick word? How are you feeling? Looks, this should be a really exciting race, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, normally, you know, Singapore is always very interesting. Very tough on, well, us, but also the car, the tires. So yeah, I hope for a good race today.
I've got to stop talking to you now, otherwise I'm in trouble, and you know how that feels.
Yeah, we have to be careful what we say.
Okay, we got 45 seconds to go. I'm not allowed to approach any more drivers at this point, which is fair enough. They're all there. Where's Lenny Kravitz? Somebody's telling me. Yeah, I don't think.
Chairman, Singapore Airlines.
There he is. How long have I got?
Singapore Airlines. Melissa Ong.
Lenny, Martin Brundle, lovely to see you on the grid. I've got 15 seconds to the anthem. How are you enjoying our world of Formula One?
This
is great. This is super exciting. Really happy to be here, and looking forward to playing tonight as well.
That's it. Yeah. It's the anthem.
Good to see you.
Cars, obviously, as we were saying, they've got to get themselves cooled down ahead of it as the pole sitter.
Hey guys, I'm back, guys. So guys, I had to mute that. Sorry guys, because I was copyright.
Chase down someone of Max's caliber.
Yeah, I agree. That looked very relaxed. He was smiling, laughing, walking easily. That's great to see. Seems like he's confident that he's going to nail that start today. But you also have to remember he is, in general, he's the hunter. And it is always more difficult to be the hunted, which is the role that Max Verstappen has.
We get back to the role of his teammate, Oscar Piastri, today from 5th. It is a quick car. We saw it in Q2. Would have been good enough for the front row, but he starts from 5th.
It's a very quick car, but Oscar seems to find it a bit more difficult to have the consistency of what Lando's had this weekend. So I think it might be tough for him to play rear gunner if Max is on good form today. But that said, I think Lando's got it covered, to be honest.
Okay, there was a problem we're hearing over team radio with Lance Stroll's car. Is it brakes, Ted?
Oh no.
Simon, it is brakes, and look at this. This is a car that is nowhere near ready to take the start of the race. It's a lowly grid position, I know that, but I don't see these mechanics doing the impossible. I mean, it's possible that they could fix this brake problem. They've had to break all the lines, just reset the master cylinder at the front there, and then they've got to connect them all up again, bleed the lines out, all this hydraulic operated, obviously brakes, and then get it all back together again. My goodness me, if the Aston Martin mechanics can do this in time for the start of the Grand Prix, I will be absolutely amazed. They're giving it everything, but yeah, let's just see if Tom McCulloch, if he can give us. Tom, do you think they'll make it or not? Do you think you're up against it? Do you think they can make it or not? Can they make it?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Really?
Yeah, they're really good guys.
I know that, but this is a major brake issue here.
Yeah, just a precautionary change, to be honest. So we weren't happy with something we saw on the reconnaissance lap, so we'll be good.
Okay, all right. Well, I admire your confidence, and you're right.
Okay,
These are, Simon, the best mechanics, some of the best mechanics on the grid down here. Good luck to them. Yeah, some of the best mechanics on the planet. Good old Tom McCulloch. Let's hear the Stroll radio though.
A lot of vibration when I brake.
Copy, okay, we'll see it on the temps. I'll let you know. Okay, Lance, so we don't have temperature for starts, let's just drive through. Lance, are the brakes any better or still the same?
No, still the same.
Copy, okay, we are looking at it.
Yeah, the brakes are pretty bad.
Yeah, copy, we're going to try and work on the grid. We see what you're saying, so discuss it when you get out.
His wheel trying to shake and the vibrations and the braking.
Lance Stroll out in Q1.
That's not good.
5 of the 6 times that he's raced here. What about his teammate? We saw Fernando Alonso starting from 7th and extracting the very best out of that car.
Yeah, I think this track, Lance last year having a big crash here. Yeah, Nico just said that, I didn't realise he had touched the wall in qualifying, so maybe there's a little bit of an aftermath after that, but I'm not too sure if that was a factor to him maybe qualifying so badly, but yeah, that's not exactly what you want to see just before you get in a race car going down into turn 1 here.
How much of a blockage do you think, though, Hülkenberg, Alonso and Tsunoda are going to be for those Ferraris who are going to try and charge through the pack?
Yeah, of course, Hülkenberg is expected to be an extreme blockage in the beginning of the race, and it will be very difficult to pass him, so that's going to make it a difficult race for the Ferrari from the get-go.
Yeah, from the get-go, but I mean, good news, I suppose, for Carlos Sainz there. Yeah, no problem with the car.
It's a big change.
So they've got the equipment they need. It's just whether they've got the car of Friday or as it moved into Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be frustrated back there. They're going to have to do something either on strategy or something serious to get to the front.
Quick one, Toto, before we go, we've only got a minute and a half, but talk to us about opportunities today and how you can potentially get one of yours onto the top step.
I don't know. Now it's about maybe seeing and grabbing an opportunity at the start. I don't know if Lando and Max are going to start on a soft medium tire, and then it could be a procession, but it's always be ready for action.
Do you have a plan to offset the strategies potentially? Is there an opportunity there?
Yeah, potentially.
What is it?
We'll split the tires.
There you go. I was going to say, with regards to that, though, Norris, though, would be the firm favourite on the evidence so far this weekend, yeah? Lando the firm favourite on the evidence so far this weekend, yeah? Lando the favourite, would you say?
Lando the favourite, in any case, yeah.
Appreciate it. I know you've got to go because we're getting time for time. Appreciate that. Thanks very much, Toto. But there we go. As we're saying, it is a tough one, this. You have got to keep your cool out here. And certainly Charles Leclerc, after qualifying yesterday, was the opposite of that. He was angry with the direction that his car had gone. What can he do from 9th today?
Alright guys, we've got a minute to go. I will let everyone enjoy the race, and please everyone, thank you for being here and enjoy what I have available for the next 2 hours and 10 minutes. Thank you guys.
The Singapore Grand Prix is next. Don't go anywhere.
Rexona Advanced Protection with body heat activated technology. So no matter how hot you get, Rexona keeps working against odor and sweat. Rexona, 72-hour advanced protection.
Putting together a party for some of the biggest gangsters in the country. This here is gonna be a night that we never gonna forget.
Move it, baby.
Know the story. Know that layer hens can dust bathe and meat chickens are free to flap their wings. Know that salmon have space to school and pigs can lead enriched lives. Know that legal welfare standards are being exceeded. RSPCA approved.
If there's one thing history has taught us, when it comes to finals footy, there is no script, no blueprint, no guarantee. Just pure, unadulterated chaos. Where the impossible is not just expected,
I don't believe it!
It's required.
Oh my goodness!
And the only certainty is uncertainty.
This is crazy rugby league.
Finals footy, let the chaos begin.
Experience the action from behind the wheel exclusive to thankyou, Skystream and Sky Glass customers this season. And new for 2024, driver onboards are also available to watch on Now. Jump on board with any of the 20 drivers in any practice, qualifying, sprint and race sessions and listen in on their team radio.
That was probably the most stressful afternoon of my life.
By hitting the interactive button on your Sky remote control, you get exclusive access to not only all onboards up and down the track, but also Sky's Battle channel, where you get to see battles that might not be shown on the main feed. And if you're out and about, why not tune in on your mobile device? Just download the Sky Sports app using this QR code, choose your driver, and enjoy the action wherever you are. So what are you waiting for? Get on board this season and enjoy the ride with Sky Sports F1. If you'd prefer, on Sky Sports Mix WSL, Arsenal against Manchester City is live right now on main event as well, but on Sky Sports F1 it feels like a seminal moment and race in the championship. Will it be Lando Norris? Will it be Max Verstappen or someone else? It's the original night race, the Jewel of the East. As the lights go down, this place comes alive. One of the greatest theatres in sport.
Oh, look at Michael Schumacher. He's lost his front wing.
Someone's gone off, but it's Carlos Sainz.
The most epic map I've ever seen around here.
Pole for Lando Norris. Right.
for us tonight under the lights here at this Marina Bay Street Circuit. For the fourth qualifying session in a row, the two Saubers were the slowest cars, Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas. Ahead of these two, Lance Stroll, brake issues on his way to the grid alongside Pierre Gasly for his lowest ever start in Singapore. Ahead of these, Esteban Ocon, his 15th, third time he started there in the last 4 races. Is this Daniel Ricciardo's last race? If it is, he starts 16th. Kevin Magnussen is back after a race ban, starts 14th, alongside Sergio Perez, 13th here on the grid for the 2nd year running. The two Williams drivers separated by just 7/1000ths of a second. Colapinto and Albon sharing row 6. Sharing row 5, Carlos Sainz, who crashed in qualifying, and Charles Leclerc, who had his time deleted for exceeding track limits. Then it's Fernando Alonso, 7th on the grid, and alongside him, Yuki Tsunoda, who's never finished a Grand Prix in Singapore. Nico Hülkenberg has a 6th place start, 2nd year in a row a Haas driver has been 6th. Oscar Piastri starts 5th, and then it's all Mercedes on row 2. Lewis Hamilton alongside George Russell. Last time they were in the top 4, both of them, they went on to win. Max Verstappen starts 2nd, brilliant lap from him in qualifying, but it's Lando Norris on pole, the first McLaren pole here in Singapore since 2012. He's the last driver in the last 9 races, Martin Brundle, to win from pole. Can he do it tonight?
We'll find out shortly. It's good. It's a whole one. This is the one they trained for, that they do all the work over the winter and through the season, because it's tough. I mean, and let's be honest, if you transported animals with no space and in these temperatures, you'd be rightly arrested, actually. But these are athletes. They're pure athletes. Adrenaline gets them through, and their fitness. It'll be a tough night of driving and of sport for them. The tyres are up, and the outlier in the top 13, who all start on medium compound tyres, apart from Lewis Hamilton in 3rd on soft compound tyres. Mercedes have split their strategy between Hamilton and Russell. And with those tyres, Hamilton can be a real menace to the likes of Verstappen down into turn 1, because the soft tyre, albeit a used soft tyre, might give him a little bit more purchase off the start line. Time will tell. And then we're in for partly a game of chess and partly a boxing match, I'd imagine, especially towards the end. And they'll be desperately trying to control the pace, control the gaps, and then pull the pin and go, and build themselves a pit stop all the time, waiting and wondering when that sort of inevitable safety car will be. We'll find out.
It always has been inevitable here. We've never had a Singapore Grand Prix without at least one appearance from the safety car. We've had 11 deployments in the last 6 races here, and you just briefly saw a shot of the grid there. Look, Lando Norris with Max Verstappen 8 meters behind him. Verstappen has that inside line going into turn 1. His practice start, his final practice start before he got to the grid, was not exactly slick. Lando Norris has had problems with his starts. You don't often win a race at the start, but there's a feeling tonight, Martin, that either of these two could well do that.
The problem that they have on the inside, on their left, as it were, is you're really quite tight into the first corner, whereas on the right-hand side of the grid, from where they're looking, they can sweep in. But of course, if they run wide in turn 2, they're obliged to head off completely away from the track, go around a polystyrene board with an arrow on it, and rejoin on the outside of turn 3. So it's a high penalty if you get too ambitious on the brakes down into the first corner.
They've had their first getaway at Sky Race Control. Anthony Davidson's been listening in.
And I listened in to particularly Lando Norris's start, Crofty, which sounded very good to me.
And he'll be hoping that continues. The 2 previous occasions that Lando Norris has been on pole this season with Max Verstappen alongside him on the front row, Verstappen has led at the end of lap 1. It didn't stop Lando Norris, of course, winning in Zandvoort. And McLaren say today that even if Lando Norris does get passed on the first lap by Verstappen, that is not the end of the game. As long as he survives, they should be okay.
Especially with the extra DRS zone, the 4th DRS, drag reduction system zone, where they can get the rear wing open, and cumulatively it might well make the difference for overtaking this year.
So in the championship, 313 points. The middle pillar of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel belongs to Max Verstappen. Lando Norris 59 points behind and the nearest challenger. After Imola earlier in the season, the gap was 60 points, but the Red Bull car not performing as well at this stage as it was back in Imola, and there's a real chance you feel that McLaren can continue that momentum between now and Abu Dhabi.
As with Monza, Lando's pinned it on the formation lap, and a lot of them, I mean, he's going into turn 16. Zhou Guanyu just coming out of turn 9, so he'll need to back the pack up so he doesn't sit on the front of the grid too long again.
We've been saying all day it feels warmer in Singapore, and the track temperature 37 degrees. That is the hottest the track temperature has been at this time of night. Hotter than FP2 and hotter than qualifying as well, and that might have a bearing on the tyres and how long they last.
We wondered if Sergio Perez down in 13th for Red Bull might do a contrary strategy, but he hasn't. He's on the medium compounds as well. So hard compound runner, the first one, Kevin Magnussen, in P14. They should be able to run longer, but we haven't seen a lot of what they call graining or degradation here. The track was high pressure, water washed, and it's been yielding some pretty good grip.
Maybe it's because we've been waiting all day to get going, but there's an air of anticipation and a buzz around Singapore for this race. Sport and live sport under the lights always has that extra pizzazz, that extra spectacle. And between now and the finale in Abu Dhabi, we've got not one, not two, but 3 proper night races to come here in Singapore, Qatar, of course, and the lights of Vegas are waiting for us in a few weeks' time. But there is tension in the garages and everywhere you look.
Course looking breathless down there. It's only 177 meters from pole position to the first braking point. It's a really short run down to that first corner, which is why then they tend to be tightly packed when they get there.
And we are almost ready. You can just see Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Pierre Gasly and the 2 Saubers slotting onto the grid. It's been at least 30 seconds that Lando Norris has been sat waiting in that pole position for everyone to get into their place. But it looks to me like everyone is in their place, and we wait for a green light, and still the wait continues now. We've got 3, 4, 5 lights on ahead of the drivers. It's lights out, away we go. That's an excellent start from Lando Norris, and it's a brilliant start too from Lewis Hamilton, but he's not going to cut off Max Verstappen into turn 1 as Lando Norris leads from Verstappen. Going wide there is the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. A little bit of a kerfuffle going on down at turn 1, but Norris got away very well from Verstappen, from Hamilton, from Russell and Hülkenberg, who's got ahead of Oscar Piastri. Then comes Fernando Alonso, and then the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, Piastri got dive bombed by a Mercedes, and it cost him dearly down into the first corner.
Now we approach a heavy braking zone at turn 7. Down the inside goes Oscar Piastri to snatch back that 5th place from Nico Hülkenberg, and there's a Ferrari going wide, challenging Sergio Perez. It's the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Perez will try and keep that place, getting held up a little bit behind Yuki Tsunoda, and as we now make the next left-hand turn, he is ahead of Carlos Sainz. But look, we're on wheel to wheel now. Perez, Tsunoda, Sainz just behind them. Brilliant action on this first lap.
Yeah, Sainz then having to go around the outside, that long run we were talking about in turn 3. We'll keep an eye and see and make sure everybody did either make turn 2 or go through the penalty zone. Otherwise, they'll be taking some pain in this race. So it's relatively status quo now then, isn't it, in terms of where they started on the grid. But something I was talking about on the grid walk, we got some outliers, especially now Colapinto's up into 9th as well.
Yeah.
We got some outliers in front of the likes of Sainz and Perez. They're not as fast on race pace, but they've got the all-crucial track position.
Franco Colapinto in his 3rd Grand Prix, already a point scorer in Formula 1, is up to 9th. He's made 3 places on this opening lap. His teammate Alex Albon dropping 4 places down into 15th. DRS is now enabled. There's 4 zones to try and help overtaking if you're within a second of the car in front. And the car in front is Lando Norris. He's about 9/10ths clear of Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton dropping back a bit, maybe having to preserve those soft compound tyres to keep them lasting. Then comes George Russell and Oscar Piastri.
Crucially, the Mercedes have dropped away from Verstappen in the DRS stakes, but not Verstappen on Norris. He's right in there, 3/4 second behind. He will get the rear wing open 4 times in the lap, and that's critical for Verstappen.
And Franco Colapinto with a bit of DRS assistance, very much staying behind Charles Leclerc and within touching distance of the Ferrari in front of him. Through turn 10 we go. Norris continues to lead. This clearly his best starts when he started from pole or from P1, because there were 2 sprint P1s in Formula 1 so far. His old mate Carlos Sainz is in a right old scrap behind Yuki Tsunoda and in front of Esteban Ocon, who's made up top places on this opening lap. And elsewhere, Fernando Alonso staying in 7th. Leclerc is up to 8th. Still, Alex Albon down in the zone he didn't want to be. He's down in 15th currently as we ride on board with George Russell.
No sign at the moment of Norris out front, sort of backing the pack up to close any gaps as Russell starts to have a look with the help of his rear wing open at his teammate on completely different tyre strategies. And for Lewis Hamilton's side of the garage, they will be hoping for a safety car fairly early doors, but you know, the best chance of that is on the opening lap or two.
And apart from a few going off at the first couple of corners, they pretty much kept it clean on that opening lap. No banging of wheels, no barging into barriers here. We haven't had a safety car for the last 8 races, and we're on lap 3, and Bernd Mailander still sat biding his time here tonight.
Verstappen now out of DRS to leader Lando Norris, and it looks as if the Mercedes are starting to home in on him, and Piastri then has recovered nicely to keep himself in play. That should then turn into a 5-car race with Hülkenberg and Alonso, perhaps the cork in the bottle.
Yeah, the closest scrap at the moment is this one that we're focusing on here. We see Carlos Sainz behind Yuki Tsunoda and then behind Sergio Perez in 10th. Good start from Perez, starting 13th here for the 2nd year in a row. He finished 8th from 13th last time out. Is looking to go a little bit better than that after an excellent start here tonight. But out in front, maintaining that gap at about a 1.5 seconds to Max Verstappen is Lando Norris. And this is absolutely ideal for him, Martin. He can control the pace and keep his tyres in good nick from there.
Yeah, he can, and he hasn't got turbulent air to drive into. Russell already being told over the radio.
But he needs to increase the pace a bit as the guys at the front are getting away.
He's also been told to mind the spike of tyre temperature, especially in the early phase when you've got a full load of fuel and well over 100 kilograms of fuel. But I'm not surprised to hear that call. George Russell's basically saying, look, I think I can go faster than Lewis Hamilton. We're letting him get away. I'm on perhaps a more optimum tyre.
I mean, he's got the benefit of 4 DRS zones, George Russell, but he's about 0.4 of a second faster on average per lap than Lewis Hamilton. Just dropped back a bit actually now on that previous lap on lap 3, so he's now out of DRS range. But you know, he was matching the pace of Lando Norris before he had to drop back a bit.
Yeah, but as I said, he was told to cool it. Yeah. He's taking too much out of the tyres too early. And yeah, so there we have it. And it'll be interesting to see if Piastri can home back in now, how quickly he can home back in on the 2 Mercedes drivers. And that, if he starts filling Russell's mirrors, that will give the young Brit a bit of angst.
Let's have a look at the race start then. Said it was an excellent start for Lando Norris. And you can see there he clearly gets away quicker than Max Verstappen, who was busy covering rather than challenging.
He was. And Max goes through, keeps the car in play. Did Piastri, I think so, just about. And they've gone around the penalty zone. It was the 2 Spaniards, basically, are going around the penalty zone and somebody else behind them. And let's have a look at this start then. You live on your wits on the start. You know, you can't think about anything. You literally maneuver the car. And so Alonso got a great big slide at the back going on and had to bail out really early.
He did. It didn't cost him a place. It was clever thinking by Fernando Alonso. Kept the speed. Look at Colin Pinto down the inside. That was a super move in the Williams.
Ubiquitous dive bomb. What's he doing?
Well, it didn't please Alex Albon, but I tell you what, I rather enjoyed that. That was a super move from the Argentine.
Yeah, as you said, Albon did not see it the same way. So that's Sainz then. Oh, it's all going very difficult, isn't it? As soon as you're a little bit out of sync with the pack, you fall through so quickly if you're not careful.
This is Carlos Sainz. We saw him heading down the straight there, watching Sergio Perez battling with Yuki Tsunoda. He goes on board with Oscar Piastri, race winner last time out. Got passed at the start by Hülkenberg. Traditional Singapore overtake as he slung it down the inside.
That was a critical move for Piastri. Yeah. Otherwise, if Hülkenberg had settled down in front of him, that was going to spoil the early part of his evening.
Hulkenberg has, of course, had back-to-back sixth-place finishes so far this year. Part of the reason that Haas in the Constructors' Championship are in 7th place at the moment, holding off Williams, but plenty of points to be had between now and the end of the season. We are on lap 5 of 62 here, and there's a 2-second gap between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen out in front. Anthony Davidson, what you got for us?
So there's a feeling, Crofty, that the teams feel that Lando Norris isn't managing the pace at all. So that's what Carlos Sainz has been told. Lewis Hamilton's been told to stick to their own race. So, yeah, definitely a feeling that Lando may be taken, as he just says fast as that, taken by Max Verstappen just now. Feeling that those two in front are definitely pushing these tyres a little bit too hard.
As Ted's cousin watches on from the garage, is that because the tyres are performing a little bit better, Martin, so that the likes of Norris, Verstappen can push that little harder without detrimenting their strategy?
Oh, they obviously think so. So they're treating it like a normal Grand Prix rather than a Singapore Grand Prix, where, as we saw in Monaco, Ferrari doing it in Monaco, go so slowly that there isn't a gap forming behind you. And bear in mind, this is the longest pit stop of the year because it's just 40 miles an hour down the pit lane, and it's a long pit lane. Because it's so narrow, it's a reduced speed here, as we sometimes see. And just keep all the gaps tight, then nobody can surprise you. But they don't appear to be running it like that. They're just hightailing it down the road.
Certainly Verstappen has carried on where he left off on lap 5 and has pulled another couple of tenths out of Lando Norris's advantage out in front. That gap now about 1.7 seconds. Lewis Hamilton continues just to drop off a little bit on those soft compound tyres. Better middle sector on this lap from Lando Norris, and I'm sure George Russell, having dropped back just to cool his car a little bit, will be wanting to move a little closer to his teammate. Thing is here, as you can see from the helicopter camera, there are lots of tall buildings, narrow streets that run in between the buildings. There's barely a breath of wind in this place tonight, and it's hot and it's humid, so keeping these cars cool is very, very tricky indeed.
Yeah, and the heat seems to swirl around amongst the walls as well. It's just, it seems even hotter when you're on track with the walls and the debris fencing around you.
We've seen his cousin. Let's head down to F1's rock star, Ted Kravitz, in the pit lane.
Don't know about that. He's much cooler than me, Crofty. But anyway, listen, Charles Leclerc, this is crucial if you're watching this battle between the Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso and Leclerc's Ferrari. Leclerc needs to make a move before the first stops come between laps sort of 12 and 14 if his strategy is to work. Ferrari believe that they have a fast race car this afternoon, but Leclerc really needs to make this move if his race is going to pan out with anywhere close to the podium.
Yeah, Ferrari not so much worried about the Aston Martin going into this race.
I took a carbon part on my left side.
So something is...
Car looks fine.
Something has fallen off another car in front.
Yeah, I wonder, or on the previous lap, somebody behind him, but I wonder... Yeah, I wonder who's lost a piece and have they been having an adventure here and there. But Ferrari were pretty unhappy about their 9th and 10th on the grid, weren't they? And they knew it was going to be a tough afternoon for them. And that was without Sainz slipping back rather than going forward in the first corner.
As I said, they weren't so much worried about the pace of the Aston Martin. They believe that and the Haas of Hulkenberg they can get. If they got stuck behind a Williams, then they were a little bit worried. The upgraded Williams of Alex Albon. That's not happened, but they are in Carlos Sainz's cause behind Colapinto. And Colapinto at the moment is keeping Sergio Perez very honest, just to show that Williams is a better car after their recent upgrades with the promise of more to come. And I tell you what, he's already proved, I think, Martin, in his very short time in Formula One that it wasn't a bad choice to replace Logan Sargent.
Absolutely, and he was giving it full beans in qualifying yesterday as well, was Colapinto. And I've got to be honest, he was never on my radar. Williams have sort of been nurturing him, but he's turning into quite the star so far, and largely, you know, keeping it neat and tidy as well.
Well, he's already had the benefits of one street race so far in Azerbaijan last week, where he scored those points. Now, this is a very different prospect altogether. 62 laps in the heat and the humidity. This will really, really test him. But so far, passing the test with flying colours, as I said. We're on board with Carlos Sainz, who finds himself behind Yuki Tsunoda in the RB. Tsunoda just off the points currently, and that's out in front. Around about 2.5 seconds between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, and Norris has got the fastest lap of this race so far as well, but there is a long, long way to go.
I've been in these kind of temperatures in sports cars for long, long races, and it soaks your concentration. It just soaks your energy somehow from every part of your body, and you need the concentration, you need the adrenaline, and out front, Norris is just going for it.
Lando, how's the pace? Yeah, pace.
Wow.
Okay, in which case we'd like to use a bit of that pace to try and get a 5-second gap to Max if possible by the mid-teens.
So at about 7 laps time, 6-7 laps time?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a bit like that feature I had in the pre-show, wasn't it? I mean, here's a team that's suddenly like, right, just put 5 seconds on the Red Bull, will you? I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the rate of change, the rate of development. And that's something I love about Formula One. Stand still or you'll go backwards at a vast rate of knots.
Start of the season when we used to 5-second gaps between the Red Bull and Max Verstappen and other cars, but it was the other way round at the start of the season. Max Verstappen, who hasn't won now since Spain, his last win, the Spanish Grand Prix. So Alex Albon is pressing Kevin Magnussen hard, medium tyre against hard tyre, Williams against Haas. Carlos Sainz is fractionally closer to Yuki Tsunoda, and I'm sure getting a little bit frustrated behind Tsunoda.
You can see it, Colpinto is struggling. Let's have him.
Well, Perez has just closed up in the last lap and a half to Franco Colapinto. Maybe he's just overdone his tyres a touch. And there you can see Sergio Perez a few car lengths behind and getting the advantage of another 15 kilometres an hour or so of DRS assistance as we head down towards turn 16.
It's about now you start to think, this is hot, this is so hot, and you realise you're 15% of the way through the race.
And you can see Carlos Sainz moving to the right behind Yuki Tsunoda to try and get some air, some cleaner air into his car. They cross the finish line. Perez now less than 0.4 of a second behind Franco Colapinto. The gap between Norris and Verstappen has gone up to 4 seconds. Another new fastest lap for Lando Norris, who's doing exactly what his team are asking him. And what Red Bull want is Sergio Perez a little bit closer to the front.
Yeah, I mean, Norris's reply was, I'm 6 out of 10 in terms of what I can do. And why they want that 5-second gap is if Red Bull at some point down the road decide to try to undercut them and come in the pits, they've got a lap margin. It builds them that comfort zone, doesn't it, of being able to respond to Red Bull and still stay out front.
Oscar looks like plan B at the moment. Plan B. Copy.
Which might be go a little bit longer with your opening stints than we were originally intending, just so that you're out there with track position. If Red Bull feel they have to pit earlier with Max Verstappen, and maybe you can hold Max Verstappen up a touch in the way that, well, Lando Norris held up Sergio Perez a little bit in Baku for a lap or so, just to aid the victory last time out.
I mean, I assume they change their plans every race, otherwise they're just giving valuable information to their rivals. We could hazard a guess at that, but it's quite clear to me that Piastri is driving a different race to Norris out front. Piastri is very much pacing himself and like 1.6 seconds slower there than the leader of the race's teammate.
That's a man, I think, driving for the long game.
And Magnussen reporting hard seems worse than medium competitors.
And that was certainly the case in his battle with Alex Albon, as Daniel Ricciardo, first driver to pit on lap 11, early pit stop to try and put him into some free, clean air and manage their pace just a little bit. Into the pits he comes. Ricciardo started this race on the soft compound tyre. Let's have a look at this RB pit stop. Very slick with the left rear. A little bit slower at the right on that one, 3.5 seconds. He'll come out of this into this race last, but in a nice clean air and sporting a new set of tyres. Looks all very wobbly on the curbs, doesn't it, for Lewis Hamilton? Look at the oscillations on that.
Yeah, they run about 23 PSI, but the wide tyres is the minimum pressures they're allowed, but you do get some of that oscillation on the sawtooth curbs. But yeah, Ricciardo's got some nice clear air. They may as well do that out back, mayn't they? But and Norris nearly up to his 5 seconds now that they asked him to pull on Verstappen, who's similarly.
Perez and Colapinto are fighting. There could be something coming to us. Let's be on it.
Too much information.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit speculative, isn't it? And I don't know if you really need to bother your driver with that, do you? I mean, he'll dive around the cloud of carbon, the confetti of carbon fibre pieces should something happen, I'm sure.
Yep. I'm sure he's watching it very closely, given that he's a second and a half behind that particular battle out on track as across the line goes Hülkenberg with Fernando Alonso in DRS range and Leclerc in DRS range of Alonso as well. So is Hülkenberg struggling a touch on his tyres as Alex Albon now pits. He was stuck behind Kevin Magnussen, which was rather ruining his race after dropping all those places on the opening lap. So they've switched his strategy and have brought him in now to cover off Daniel Ricciardo as well. Hard tyres going on. The last thing they want with Alex Albon is to keep going for a few more laps, getting stuck behind Kevin Magnussen, and to have the RB ahead of them when Albon finally pits. So they've covered that one off.
I would have thought as the track continues to rub, that was close, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Continues to rubber in, and they get rid of the fuel load, and especially the cars with a bit more downforce, they will fire up the hard compound tyres just fine.
Perez staying nicely away from the concrete barrier at turn 17, and Franco Colapinto taking a wider line through the corner and a much closer attention to it. Might just have grazed the concrete paint. Now, is Carlos Sainz close enough to Yuki Tsunoda here to get a good exit out of the next corner and make a move down into turn 16? We shall see.
I'm sliding around like hell.
Struggling on those hard tyres at the moment, so the track temperature is still around 37 degrees, and the answer is Carlos Sainz needed to be another couple of car lengths closer to make a move down the inside.
Yeah, and then the answer also is that fourth DRS at this phase of the Grand Prix, until they start really hurting with tyre wear, it isn't making the difference in terms of overtaking, shall we say. Russell beginning has just done his personal best, but they are 5 seconds off the back of Verstappen now, and again, I think, like Piastri, driving to a different pace.
Everyone is driving to a different pace to Lando Norris currently. He's the only driver that is in the 136s, mid-136s, and that gap on lap 13 is up to 7.5 seconds. He's building a really, really useful lead to Max Verstappen. There's a long way to go in this race, but this looks like the sort of pace that gave him such a commanding victory in Zandvoort at the Dutch Grand Prix.
Well, keep an eye on Nico Hülkenberg. He's 21 seconds behind Norris, at least 2 seconds a lap slower. When that gets to 30 seconds in the next 5 laps, Norris will have a pit stop window there to drop into, should he choose to do so.
And that's one of the things that McLaren are asking from their driver, to give us that pit stop window, that opportunity. As around the slow left-hander we go once more at turn 13 and onto the Esplanade Bridge with Carlos Sainz behind Yuki Tsunoda. There is Oscar Piastri. Is Oscar Piastri keeping the same sort of pace to George Russell? Yes, he is.
Yeah, I wonder if they've already started to think of Piastri with that plan B tactically at McLaren as to how they can help Norris a little bit later on. Sainz pits then for Ferrari. Ted's down in the pit lane. What do you got for us, Ted?
Yeah, just seeing the Ferrari come in. Just to explain what's going on with Mercedes, them dropping down with the Lewis Hamilton soft tyre start. The intention was, as you say, Crofty and Martin, that they were hoping to gain position on lap 1 with Hamilton. That didn't work out. Okay, you could say he did keep position. That's the switch onto the hard tyres, obviously, for Sainz. Not the quickest stop I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, apparently with Hamilton, his pace is just sort of capped at the moment with having to keep the rear tyres under control. Just keep the overheating tyres under control.
Undercut power looks strong, maybe 2 seconds.
And there is absolute evidence of that undercut power. Remember, Alex Albon stopped to cover off Daniel Ricciardo. Carlos Sainz has been brought in there. Smart thinking by Ferrari to cover off Alex Albon. Because that one more lap, and he's coming out way behind the Williams, who's got DRS, though, Alex Albon, down Raffles Boulevard towards turn 7. Sainz is just far enough ahead to ward off any threat at that moment.
Yeah. Absolutely right, and now we're going to see the true potential of the hard compound tyre, and I think Kevin Magnussen has been struggling on them, but it does seem as if they'll come into a sweet spot anytime now.
Now, what's going to be interesting